Hey everyone, it's time for Inside Leaders Heads. Uh, Hopefully you're finding us because usually I do it 5:30 on Mondays, 5:30 Eastern, and now since I have a lot of guests from England and across the pond, I've moved it to 11, and 11's better for me anyway because then my fiance doesn't get mad when can we have dinner at 6? Anyway, actually it'd be 6:30, but so I want to introduce my guest. This is Ali Pasha. Or Ali A Pasha. Is that new? Did you add the middle initial lately?
No, I mean it's been there, but I keep it and then I move it because there's so many Ali Pashas, but there's also many Ali A Pashas. So I don't know how to distinguish myself. Not everyone has a great name like Marky B or Mark Benkover. So we need to be creative with the names that we've been given.
You could do like in parentheses, Ali the Man Pasha. Anyway, so as you know, I mean this is probably I think it's our 22nd or 23rd guest. And so what we do is I find people who are, and then I had two of my own. So this is like the 25th or 26th show. I don't know if that's a milestone. Anyway, Ali's used to me rambling like this, as is my audience. But basically, what we do on this show is it's all about finding your passion and purpose. And it's my belief that passion-driven purpose equals focused action. And once you apply all those things together, you're unstoppable, and you can turn your wishes into your dreams, form a plan, create the mindset, create the support around you, and then you can accomplish anything. So the reason I wanted Ali on the show is if you saw the teaser this morning, I like to play with words. So as a kid, I was an entomologist, which means I loved the study of bugs. And now I just dropped the N and I'm an etymologist, and I love the study of the origin of words. So I don't know what they did in England or Canada. I think Canada has a similar education on English, but we had to dissect sentences and what's an adverb, what's an adjective, what's a noun, what's a verb, what's an article, all that kind of crap. So anyway, he's an education advisor, not an educational advisor. And then when I thought about the reason I put that in there is because I thought about it. So if you're an advisor, by the way, first of all, you should vet your advisor, but any advisor should be educational. So they should be able to teach you and educate you on whatever they're advising. Otherwise, they're not a very good advisor. But the reason he's an education advisor is, do you work for Oxford or just work for people who want to get in Oxford?
I work for people who want to go to Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard.
Yeah. Okay. And you have 2 degrees from there?
I have 1 degree from Oxford, 1 from McGill, and I'm getting another one soon as well. Yeah.
Oh, no, he's like me. He's overeducated. He's a snub. No, I'm just kidding.
I am a snub.
I have 4, or according to Rob Barry, that it is corporate Twitter, I have 4 because he treats double majors as 2 degrees. But
okay.
Technically, I only have 4 degrees, but if you do the double major thing, I have 7. And no PhDs. I can never figure out what I want on a PhD. Anyway, he's an education advisor, and he also helped write proposals. She was writing, and just a general great guy. And he's wickedly funny. Oh, and another thing about him, he's well read. So this is kind of sarcastic because I can't think of any names of anything he's read. But we'll be talking about something, and he'll be like, well, in the biography of Horatio Hornblower, he stated that leadership is, so a little bit like that. Anyway,
that does happen.
How are you doing today?
I'm very, very good. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for shifting time. Because normally when I come to speak to Mark, because Mark's been on my program as well, I was in Montreal, so we shared the Eastern time zone, but currently I'm in the UK visiting my parents. So thank you so much for shifting time. I'm very grateful.
No problem. There's some cool.
Good weather today, Mark. How is it? Whereabouts in the US are you? What state are you in?
I'm in North Carolina, Kernersville, North Carolina. It's half hour from Greensboro and Winston-Salem. And if you don't know those, because those are smaller.
No, I know North Carolina.
Charlotte, hour and a half from Charlotte, and an hour and a half from Raleigh-Durham. So we're kind of right in the middle.
Yeah.
But
how's the weather today?
It's quite pleasant for like the last 3 weeks. It's been like 90 plus, both in temperature and in humidity. Today it's like degrees and kind of lower humidity, so that's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good.
Hey, look, we're fashionable. Although I have a gray shirt, you have a jacket and a t-shirt. I have a gray t-shirt and jacket. This is my new This is my new image. This is how I took
It really suits you. And every 2 weeks, me, Robert Berry, Carlton Watkins, and Rory Atkinson, we do the Actionable Men podcast. And in the beginning, we were all wearing just t-shirts and like a hoodie. And then I think one of us just wore a sports jacket one day, and it was like everybody just ran and just fetched their first coat and they start sitting. And then we became all professional. So yeah, that's where this comes from. It's always around. It's near my camera now.
Right. And if you've never been to Actionable Men, I advise you go see it. Here, I'll put it up there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm kind of like what am I, a fanboy or a wannabe? I don't know what I am.
I think you're a supporter. I think you're a champion. You're a champion of Actionable Men. Absolutely.
Yeah. When I can attend, I like comment like continuously. Yeah. And then last time Rory got mad at me because I posted something before he started talking and he was all serious and shit. Excuse my language. But then you guys didn't read a comment I did until while I was talking. And I swear to God, 3 of you all started laughing at the same time. And Roy's like, what? Like, no, they read a comment. I'm sorry. So anyway.
Yeah, it's a good group of guys. I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know how it happened though, Mark? Do you remember Karina? Karina's a friend of ours from Florida.
Yeah,
she's an artist and she's a speaker. Yeah, she's a Renaissance woman, as Barry calls her. And I had her on my show, and we were just talking about NFTs and crypto, and we were just discussing things. And suddenly, I send my Restream link to all the Growth Academy friends. So if anybody wants to drop by, they can. Like Rob came to your show as well. And then all of a sudden, Robert Berry drops by. Then Rory Atkinson drops by. Then Carlton Watkins, and everybody's just there. And Karina was like, Ali, I have to go. I was like, all right, you go. And then we ended up talking for like an hour. And we were like, there's so much here to discuss. Why don't we set up a podcast? So that's how Actionable Men came into play.
Dang, I should have showed up to that show. Anyway. Yeah, Karina always talks about non-fungible tokens. Yeah. In case you don't know what that is, it's a digital product or service which you purchase the exclusive rights to, and then it's yours. And a lot of people think it's money. It's not money. Well, not that I want to get into it. It as money is today. It sort of could be considered a currency, but the definition of money, it's really a commodity or a stock or a bond, and it's like you're betting on that it's going to grow in value. Yeah. So it's basically worth whatever anyone's willing to pay when you're willing to sell it. Until that time, it's not worth anything. But anyway, except your inner fondness for owning, because we as humans, we like to own shit. Anyway, so let's get back to Ali. So that's how Actionable Men happen. So Actionable Men is really cool. They talk about neat stuff. Anyway, and it's every other week. What day? Thursday?
Tuesday. Every other week, Tuesday at 11 EST. 11 a.m. EST. Yeah.
All right, cool. Check it out again. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the reason we're here, though, is to talk about passions and purpose, mainly yours. And I'm going to be the curator. We're going through the Ali Pasha Museum to examine his life. I know, exactly. And I'll be your curator on this journey. So what we're going to start with is basically, if you could state kind of your elevator speech, but so far no one's made it in 90 seconds, so take as much time as you want and just talk about what your passions and your purpose are. And should you go into how you found them, that's okay. We're going to follow that all the way down. So just what are your current passions and purpose? Ali Pasha, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. I am extremely passionate about public speaking and writing, and I've been that way for the last 29 years because I gave my first speech when I was 5 years old, and in the last few years I started realizing that some things are your gifts and some things are your talents, and I started really watching them, and I've been giving speeches, as I mentioned, for almost 30 years now, and I've been writing a diary, Mark, nonstop for the last 17 years, nonstop. It's not the same diary; it's a new diary every few months. But I've been writing, and because of that, whenever I need to write something or present something or speak somewhere, I don't even prepare that much because I'm so used to it. So I realize that that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I was surprised to see that a lot of people struggle with these two basic skills. A lot of them don't know how to write well, and a lot of them don't know how to speak well. And I put something on LinkedIn 8-9 months ago that if anybody needs to go to Oxford or anybody needs to go to Cambridge or Harvard or something, I'll do a big webinar or something. And I expected around 20 people to show up and just do like a webinar. And within a week, 54,000 people had viewed it and liked it and filled my inbox on LinkedIn. And I thought, wow, maybe there's something here. So I started giving a lot of attention to it myself. But that's still on LinkedIn and online. As my day job, I'm a lecturer. I am on the path to becoming a professor. So it's also speaking and writing, nothing else. I don't think I can do anything else, to be very honest. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I'm just trying to read what you've written. Wow.
Always my hero when I write about
writing,
I get 5,000 views max.
5,000 views is really good. On
well,
LinkedIn.
That's top. I kind of laugh because I don't know what's going on, but my views have been really low, but I don't care.
That's okay. I mean, we all go through those times. Yeah, mine too. It's completely fine. Yeah. What matters is that you're putting stuff out there. That's what's important. Yeah.
Well, I always tell writers, I go, I want to be a writer. How do you write? I go, write every day.
Yeah.
Well, about what? Anything. It doesn't matter.
Anything.
And then you'll learn. And guess what? Yeah. So I have a course coming up. I'm not going to advertise it here, but it's around writing, but I don't teach people how to write because my opinion is if you know how to speak the language you were born with, you know how to write. You just write in your own voice. And if you have to publish it or anything, get an editor. They'll fix all that crap, but you have a voice. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean, one of my favorite writers of all time is Kurt Vonnegut. If you read any of his books, he didn't follow any things. I mean, I bet if I got him in a room, he's dead now, unfortunately. But if I got him in a room and go, all right, Kurt, let's dissect a sentence. What's an adjective? What's a verb? He'd go, I don't know. But it doesn't matter.
No, absolutely. I was interviewing
Slaughterhouse 5. That's one of my favorite books.
I was interviewing one of India's leading book agents yesterday, and I had him on my show, and I was saying that a lot of people want to write. What do they do? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, listen, you can't teach creative writing. All you can inspire people to do is to find their voice, exactly what you're saying, to find their voice and find a way to express it. Otherwise, you can't teach creative writing. If it's nonfiction, fair enough, they can write something and observe and detail it. But creative writing has to come from inside, and you can't teach this. So I don't even attempt to do that. I simply correct people's things all the time. I just say, well, do you really want to put that word here? Let's change it. and that's what I do. And they started paying me for it, which was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, Ali's my hero. So, so would you say those kind of sound like they could be both your passion and your purpose?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what kind of feelings, like what in the flow when you're public speaking or when you got the 54,000, what were the emotions or the thoughts inside your head when you saw that?
Well, the 54,000 was a big shock because, as I mentioned, a lot of people who go to Oxford or Harvard or these top tier schools, we all do this. We write it. Hey, if anybody wants to go to these schools, write to me. I'll help you. I expected 20 people to show up or write something. Yeah, why don't you help me? And the comments just kept coming and coming and coming. And I thought, what's really going on? This morning, I put out a post saying, like a poll, we do polls on LinkedIn, and I put a poll out saying, is a master's degree necessary? And within 18 minutes, I think 30 people had already voted. I was like,
yeah, I said no.
Yeah.
Even though
did you vote already? Good man. Check you out. But there's so many people who are very much into education, growth, development, so that was just overwhelming when it became so much, because my LinkedIn inbox, like many of our LinkedIn inboxes, is normally seen unused because we have emails and Facebook and so many other things. And I got maybe 130 friend requests every single day for the first 2 weeks. And I was like, what do I do with all of this? I don't even know what to do. So I was amazed. But public speaking is so different. I've been doing it since I was 5. And first I used to go. Yeah, 5. My mom used to write my speeches, and then my dad used to write them, and then they taught me how to write them, so I would write them. And now I if I know what I want to say, like briefly, if you give me a rough idea, I can just go on stage and start talking. So I spoke at the British Parliament, I spoke at Oxford Union, I spoke at McGill a bit. So that started happening. I just like speaking in front of large crowds and discussing ideas, and I like engaging people rather than them just watching. I like engaging. So that's where teaching became a thing as well. This
Well,
whole
what was like a subject of a public speaking you did when you were like 5?
Oh, when I was 5, the first
I
speech.
think we should all take naps. I think we should take 2 naps, about a half hour, one after breakfast, and then one later. And recess is important too.
Okay, fine. I was 5.5. No, the first speech that I remember, I suppose my mum wrote a few before that, but the one I remember was on my house. My house is very big. It is located here. It has this many rooms. So very general things, but they would always say, I don't know if this still happens in school, Mark, but you would remember this, that the teacher would stand on one side and the students would stand in a line, and they'd just do a national anthem or do some speeches. So they would all say, does any student want to come and speak? And I would always go, this guy right here. And they'd say, come on. I'd go on stage and I'd have a piece of paper prepared from the night before. And then after a couple of months, it was like, does anybody have, oh, Ali, do you want to say anything? And I'd be like, yep, sure. And I'd have a speech.
Hey, Jeff. So, I think in music and in movies and in books, but so when you were talking about your speech, I'm like thinking, and then 20 years later, it was ripped off and became a hit. Our house in the middle of the street. Our house. That was his speech. That was Ali Pasha's speech at 5 years old.
Oh, that was excellent. That is so cool. That would be so cool if that happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, oddly enough, I mean, if you want a formal education, go for it. If Oxford and Harvard, you're like, what you want to do, go for it. After 4 master's degrees, well, actually, I guess I have to tell a little story of how I got them. So every single one of my master's degrees, I was in industry, and then I worked and became like as good in a subject I could, say like lean manufacturing. I got to work with people from Toyota and all this kind of stuff. And then my job didn't push me forward in that school of thought anymore. And so I went to one university. I'm like, okay, I want to learn more about this. One university, I was in Seattle at the time. I go, wow, they have three good courses I want to take. So I took the 3 courses, and then the registrar, I hate registrars. You'll see why in a second. So every one of my 4 degrees happened this way. Like I wanted to take 2 or 3 courses, and then the registrar would come to me, Mark, if you just take 5 more classes and do a thesis, you can get a master's degree. And so that's how I got my master's degree. I wanted to take like 2 or 3 courses, and then they talked me into the whole thing. Anyway. Wow. So my point was, before that rabbit trail, was yes, if you want to go to Oxford, hey, first of all, talk to Ali. But yeah, that's your thing. Harvard, Princeton, whatever, like all like that. I went to University of Illinois Champaign for electrical engineering degree. At the time, it was the number 1 in the world. Yeah. But and that's a whole other story. And this isn't about me. But what I found is I'm all about lifelong learning and servant leadership. And it's about intellectual curiosity. So it's not about getting a degree. It's not about going to formal. If you want to, I'm not knocking it. A lot of people knock it on LinkedIn and stuff. They're usually like self-made millionaires. Well, formal education is bullshit. And I go, well, if that's how you learn, that's how you learn. Everybody learns differently. So yeah, it's just not the only way. I don't think it's bullshit, but it's not the only way. So
I mean, also it's not just the process of education is not it, or the socializing. Unfortunately, we live in a world which is full of clubs, clans, and tribes. So
sounds like a sugar song.
It does sound like one, but here's the thing: as soon as somebody from my alma mater writes to me, so if somebody from Oxford writes to me, or from McGill, or from Turkey, or something, if they write to me, I am more inclined to respond to them as opposed to somebody from Cambridge, even, or Harvard. And
well, no, I wasn't doing that for you. That was towards the Cambridge and
Yeah, no, but that's what happens because I'm human, and that's the tendency. And the first thing, if you meet somebody from Oxford and they've also been to Oxford, the first thing we always say is, "Oh, what college were you at?" Because Oxford is divided into 34 colleges, and if
Yeah, like a
anybody's
university,
studied at that school, they would know.
right.
And it's because there are a lot of pretenders. I actually fished out a lady on Facebook. She wrote to me, "Hi, lovely to see you," and I said, "Hey, what college were you at?" And she said, "I was at the College of Oxford," and I was like,
No, it's a
"Did you
university.
actually go to Oxford?" She said, "No, I just write that." I said, "You shouldn't write that. That's
Yeah,
not that's not
yeah.
fair."
Well, yeah,
So
like
so
that's the difference between a university and a college. University is a composition of colleges. Yeah, like University of Illinois is the same way. City
absolutely,
University, where I got one of mine, was the same
yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah. So that elitism happens, and
But don't you
um,
think that's true of any commonality? Like
sure,
if someone goes,
certainly,
"Hey, I'm from Turkey," would you
yeah,
give them a little leg up instead of, "Hi, I'm
absolutely.
Mark, and I'm a like pasty guy from America."
Well, obviously, I'll make an exception for you because we're friends.
Well, no,
But
because now you know
but
me. But I meant in
but
the
but
before you
but
did.
to that very point, just because you're from Turkey would not pretty much guarantee that you would succeed in your career. Going to
Right,
these top tier schools means that you get associated with a top tier network who's already in industry. So
right,
everybody who graduates from Oxford, they write to me, they write to people like me who have been to the school, and then we say, "Hey, I have a position open at the UN. Why don't you come join me? Hey, I have a position open at the Canadian government or at the Senate or at the Parliament. Why don't you come and intern for me? And then later you could." So that happens. So
right.
if somebody really wants to, because if you look at the prime ministers of England, out of 43, 44, I think 28 came from Oxford. And that's just a staggering number. And we hosted the ex-prime minister David Cameron a couple of months ago, and as soon as he came on, we were doing a Zoom meeting, and he said, "Shout out to my intern Adam Roble. He's an intern. He was my intern, and he's a student." And I said, "How do you know him?" "Oh yeah, I interned for him because somebody from Oxford spoke to this somebody from Oxford and got them there." So the network is something. It's wrong. It's nepotistic. It's elitist. It's wrong. But that's just how the world is, and that's what I tell
All right.
everyone. If you want to
Well,
tap into it,
but my
that's one
point
way
about
to do it.
Turkey is that any commonality. First of all, you got to find a person that's a hiring manager, not HR. Get rid of them. Not anything against HR, but you got to talk to a person who actually
Yep.
has a job or has the ability to make a job. But then
Yep.
any connection, yes, I think Oxford, Harvard, all those might be
Yep.
better in certain occupations,
Yep.
but any commonality. For example, I'm trying to be, well, I am a professional writer. I have been paid for my writing, but I'm trying to make that my
Yep.
thing. And so I have
Yep.
a website now called Le
Yep.
Grand Pluma. And so the guy advising me, he said, put an about page, and on your about page, put everything. Put stuff about your education, stuff about your past experience, stuff about your pastimes, because one of those things, like I'm a Star Wars geek on there. So what could happen is that could be a connection with someone. They're like, well, I need a writer and he's a Star Wars geek. Let's geek out about C-3PO or something, you know what I mean? But you're right. Oxford and education and those kind of things
Yep.
are, yeah, that's probably a higher level, but I think humans are just that way. They look for connection.
Yeah, they always do, don't they? And it's you can't break free of that. But yeah, one has to be wary. So that was another reason because I didn't need to go to Oxford for a master's. I went there particularly for this reason. The network was something that I was interested in, and that has led to so many things. I set up my own think tank because of Oxford. I came to McGill because of Oxford, and the new thing that I will be starting is also because of it. So if somebody is looking to apply to any of these big schools, be very careful why you want to do it. Otherwise, it could be very useless. Really, really useless if you
Oh
don't do
yeah,
it.
figure out the why. That's big.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot, haven't we? Start
Yeah,
with why.
yeah,
Simon Sinek.
yeah. Well, I mean, also, I mean, people ask me like, I'm publishing a book in a month or two. I have to
Yes.
rewrite. I have to rewrite it, so that's why it's taking so long. That's a whole
Is it
story.
a fiction
You'll
or
have to have me on your
non-fiction?
show again, and we can talk about that. I don't want to talk about me on this show. This is about you.
Is it fiction or non-fiction? Just tell me that.
That's nonfiction.
Oh, excellent.
I already have a published fiction.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it sold one copy to me.
I mean,
But
one is better than zero, I have to say. One is better
yeah,
than zero.
that's true. And I think my mom read it too, and my ex boss. But anyway, we won't go there. But
Okay.
yeah, people ask, like how did you do that? I mean, that's what my course is going to be about: putting a plan together to publish your book. The number one thing is why you're writing a book.
Yeah.
And that'll also tell you how you're going to publish it, because like Shanae says, she talks about a CEO who doesn't have 1 million followers on LinkedIn. And I think he went to Simon and Schuster. So then, if you don't know, there's the big five. Simon and Schuster is one of the big five.
Yep.
So the big five are very particular. I believe they're on their way out. It might take 10, 15 years, but they're going to go the way of Blockbuster if they continue to stick their head in the mud. But for now, if you want to do traditional publishing, you got to go with one of the big five, and they require you to have 1 million followers, or they won't even look at you.
Yep.
So that's why I'm going to go hybrid publishing, because I have like 3,000 followers.
3,000 is so much better than 0.
Okay, come on. Technically it's 2,500, but I just wanted to put
still, it's almost 3,000, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's more than one. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, you have the thing where you help people in Oxford. You do public speaking. You train. What's your main thing of making money, or do you just have like 4 venues where you?
Well, no, I'm an assistant professor in Montreal. That's my day job. I'm a researcher. Oh, did you know? Yeah, I don't talk about it because it's not fun to talk about them. But I'm very much into the education scene. That's why I'm helping people in education, as opposed to. Sorry, say that again.
I said that's good, since you're an assistant professor.
Yeah, exactly. And the goal is to become a professor, let's say in the next 10 years or so, because it takes a while to get there.
Oh, yeah, you got to get What university?
HEC Montreal. It's in Montreal. It's a lovely school, and it's a business school.
What is your subject, main focus?
International affairs, politics, international affairs.
Okay, I knew you were in international affairs. I didn't know you're a professor.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I'm not a professor yet. Thank you so much.
Blurry.
But that's why that's why I'm always talking about education and diplomacy, and those are 2 topics, and encouraging exchange between the Western world and South Asia and China. So I always do these interviews, or I always go and do these brief monologues of how to engage. So that's what it's all about. So that's the primary stream of income. I was charging people for this consulting thing, but now actually, in less than a month, I'm going to be making an announcement, and I'm changing something that I've started drastically regarding this education thing. So yeah, stay tuned, Mark's audience. Some big changes happening.
Anyone watching this on replay or live, stay tuned. Things are coming for Ali Pasha.
Yeah, so that's one thing. But I also write. I wrote for a few newspapers in Pakistan and Turkey. Might start writing in England, but it's so tough. It's so exhausting to write, isn't it, Mark? And especially columns and news articles, unless you're doing it every day.
Writing for others to get them published, yes. Writing, no. Writing is like saving my life, I would say, and that's not an overstatement either.
Yeah,
I mean, back in the day, I had a really bad. From 6th grade to graduating high school, I had a bad time in life. If I didn't write, I could have gone the way of many teenagers and taken my own life or whatever. But writing saved me.
Yeah.
And when I say writing, so it's writing like stories, writing articles, music. I compose a lot of music, films. I write a lot of scripts. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Excellent.
But figure out the why. So, wow, assistant professor, that blows me away. That's cool. I knew you were in international affairs. I kind of guessed that when I watched the Steve Bannon thing. Oh, by the way, so
that wasn't me. Yeah, that was me.
Oh, yeah, it was you. But how do I say this in an edited way? I'm not a big Steve Bannon fan.
Neither am I.
The way he spoke and the way he presented his ideas was pretty awesome.
We clapped.
Aside from your question, all the other questions showed no intellectual curiosity. They just showed, I'm going to put my thoughts around a question, roll them on a club, and beat them about the head and face. Like,
that's
come on,
what you
man.
get. That's what you get when you put 18 to 22-year-olds in the Oxford Union chamber. And people interviewing him and people in the audience are around that age. So I was older, and I knew that he's like a slippery fish. And I've seen him on TV, and I've seen his interviews, and I knew I'm not going to corner him, but at least I want to know what he thinks. And he was royally wrong about who is going to win the election. But I just want to know is because he was talking all about Beto O'Rourke is going to do really well, and I was like, really? Okay, fine. But before the meeting and then after the meeting, I spent maybe 15 minutes with him.
Mhm.
And he's just a slippery, very smart guy. And the problem is we tend to have a disdain and dislike for people who are slippery, and fair enough, because we can say they're morally corrupt. But they are the people more often than not who are running a lot of things. So you don't have to be friends with somebody to speak to them. That's what I believe. So
well, the interviewer is really good. It's just the people asking the questions.
Yeah.
And the
yeah, he was insane. But after that, no, I met I think 7 prime ministers as well through Oxford, and quite a few Nobel laureates and academics and writers and stuff. So yeah, it was very, very good. I had a lot of fun. I met the only person I took to task slightly was the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Because we were asking about atrocities committed in Malaysia, and he just, like a prime minister who is in his prime, he just sidestepped it so well, and I was like, I'm not happy.
But I mean, it could be an argument could be made is many of the atrocities were at his bidding.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we were trying to get at. How is this happening? And he was just like, and he just sidestepped it. He just used America as a defense, and we're like, I was like, Prime Minister, I'm not happy with your answer. No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, America as a defense.
Yeah.
At one point, we were the moral compass, and now we're the moral toilet.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't. What do you think? I know this is a little off topic, but so what do you think about the rewriting history thing? I'm offended, one, and I think if we erase the past, we'll never learn from it. So all this current stuff, for lack of a better word, and I'll get in trouble for this, whitewashing our past. It's like, you know what? Like the Civil War and all that crap. It's like, no, the Civil War happened. It's the bloodiest war even today in the United States history, because U.S. people are on both sides.
Yep.
It didn't start off around slavery. It just so happened. I mean, I like Lincoln, but an argument can be made he was kind of like being like the Prime Minister of Malaysia, because he saw that the moral uptick was abolishing slavery. And so then some point later in the war, he made it about that. I mean, originally it was about states' rights, and it was states' rights around choosing slavery or not, but it didn't start off as slavery. And then, anyway. But what wasn't the point.
What I found
you was
that people have
the history's history.
The more disposable information we get towards, which is all this. I mean, I'm only 34, so it's my generation as well. But all the smartphones, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, we're overwhelmed by a lot of information, and it just comes and goes every day. So every day we consume more information than we did 10 years ago.
Yep.
And because of that, nothing sticks. So I was in Oxford and I was meeting a friend of mine, and she brought along another friend, and I said, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a first year. And I said, wait, you're a first year? How old are you? She said, I'm 18. And I just looked at her and I said, wow, you were born after September 11th. And she said, what's September 11th? I was like, God, I can't speak to you because you don't know such a huge part of history, which was less than 20 years ago. How can I talk to you about the American Civil War or the Korean War or Vietnam or the World War II or the independence of India and Pakistan and so forth? There's so much gone and so much lost there. And then what happens is either academics, guilty, my field, or politicians try to reframe it and make it more palatable and try to bring forward that as a political talking point, which would either get them a grant to publish something or to an elected seat. And I don't know if I'm sounding like a cynic, because I'm not cynical, but this is how things are. And then people start believing them. A new narrative is presented, and that becomes the modus operandi. That becomes how they see things. And I have a problem with that. I believe in complete, absolute freedom of speech and on openness of what has happened. You can still look at a statue of somebody like, I don't know if Custer has any statues in the US, but if Custer had a statue, I would look at it, I'd say, he was a leader of an army. Great. I don't have to like him, but I'm not going to knock it down because that's part of history. Because otherwise, you need to knock down the White House, you need to knock down the Parliament, you need to knock down so many things because of
Right.
whatever offense somebody might feel.
Yeah.
So
Like all Robert E. Lee, Jefferson Davis, all those are gone. But
yeah,
the
they're just talking points.
have you heard the model, the tetrahedron of wisdom?
No?
So it divides things. It's basically how you progress data to wisdom. So when you talked about social media, I kind of thought about that. So I
Yep.
think the problem with social media and having all this data on, well, not data, you said information, and that was very erudite, sir, because in the tetrahedron, everything starts with data. It's like little pieces of data. What happened? Like temperature is 55 degrees centigrade, whatever.
Yep.
And data's not necessarily indisputable, but it's
Yep.
kind of fact.
Yep.
Then there's information. Information is a compilation of data compiled some way through some prism, whatever.
Yep.
I believe that's what social, and then knowledge is when sometimes it's applied, and sometimes you create an infographic, model, acronym, whatever, around the information. And then wisdom comes by applying all that stuff and learning from the results. So anyway, in my opinion, because I don't have any proof of this, but I think the problem with social media, smartphones, and having access to all that is that we have information and knowledge. It's already processed for us. We're like baby birds going, and we don't bother to look. We don't bother to look at the facts or the data.
Exactly.
We just take it, and then on top of that, like Google being every algorithm anywhere only feeds you stuff that you searched on or think before. So you never hit with new thought. So what I do is I go all over the place just so the algorithm goes, we have no freaking idea what this guy thinks. So we're just going to give him everything. So, yeah.
That's really smart, because what is also interesting, if I search for something on Facebook or Facebook Marketplace, the next day I have a Google ad relating to it, or I put on a YouTube video and they try to show me, and I'm like, what are you trying to do? We know what you're doing. Please stop it. I'm a grown adult. I can make decisions. But yeah, they kind of direct you down there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. That's pretty cool. So what, aside from, what did you say, 10 to 15 years you'll be tenured?
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
That's the goal.
So aside from the 10-year path, what do you see going? Are you going to write a book or another book, or are you going to handle the public speaking? What's next on the plate for Ali Pasha? Aside from, and don't say anything that's going to get in trouble with the university.
No, not at all.
Competitive, whatever. I don't know how universities work, because I've taught at 3, but.
Yeah, no, some can be very open and some can be very closed-minded. It's not the structure, it's the people running the structure more often than not. I'm very much into politics, so I don't know if I might join politics. I don't know in which country yet.
Oh, I mean, run for an office?
Yeah, run for office. Not
cool.
As president, obviously, but like either as member of parliament or either in Canada or in England. I don't know where yet.
Oh, if it's Canada, then you can help me become a citizen of Canada, and I'll vote for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy. I don't know. I'd vote for Ali Pasha.
Yes,
I have one vote. U.S. citizen, so I can't.
So that's
you Canadians.
That's one of the goals, let's say, for the next 15, 20 years. And at the intersection of these two things is a small think tank that I started last September. It's called the Lachine Institute, and I've been running it with a team of 3 other people.
How do you spell it?
It's spelled like machine with an L instead of the M. Lachine Institute, and I've been running it, and it's again on education and diplomacy. I've had experience in diplomacy before, and I focus on education. So we look at how education can be used as a diplomatic tool. So it kind of unites the political and the educational into one thing. So that's what I've been doing.
Is there any output from that? Do you have like a website or something, or?
I have hired somebody to develop the website. So far, LinkedIn was doing everything for me.
Oh, okay.
I would reach out to people, because there's so many people on LinkedIn, I think over 800 million or so. I would just reach out to, I have members of parliament on my LinkedIn. I have members of your Senate on LinkedIn. So that's good. You just write to them, and more often than not, they respond to you. I have people who work in the United Nations, and I'm connected to them in Global Affairs Canada. So you just write to them and say, hey, I'm preparing this report for the government of Quebec. Can we talk? And they're more often than not, they're like, yeah, sure. Let's do a 5-minute, 10-minute call. and yeah, that's about it. So I haven't made a website yet because I don't know how, but I've paid somebody to do it now. So hopefully
that's good.
hopefully by beginning next year, something of Lachine will be there. But yeah, it's all about education and diplomacy. These are two things I'm passionate about. I love them. I see them as being in a lot of avenues, touching a lot of spheres. So that's what I do. But yeah, I don't know if I can write a book like you have, but let's see.
I can help you.
Yeah, please do.
It's simple but not easy. It's a process.
It's not easy. It's so long,
like,
though. It's so difficult.
Well,
do you prefer writing by hand, Mark, or do you prefer typing?
I prefer writing by hand, but I do both.
Same.
And then I have to, obviously, you have to type it in to send it to the editor.
I was watching, because one of my favorite directors is Quentin Tarantino, and I love Tarantino, and I can't wait to meet him whenever I do meet him. And I'm just going to say, I would love to take you along because I love Tarantino, and he writes his scripts in longhand. He writes all of them in longhand first, and then he transfers and edits them. And because I've been writing a diary for 17 years now, nonstop. Yeah, in fact, just an hour ago, I was writing what happened yesterday and today. So I'm also used to writing things, and I never cross anything out because it's the connection's so clear, and you would know how that feels. It's so clear, it just flows out, and I don't even need to stop. I just know what I'm saying, and I start writing it. Right. But it's exhausting thinking of a 300-page, 200-page, all of that.
You can take excerpts from your diary. I mean, that's how I wrote the nonfiction book. I didn't plan on writing a nonfiction book. And Chris Hummel, back in must have been end of 2019, we had one of those Growth Academy weekly things.
Yep.
And Chris, who often all he says is, I agree with Shanae, but this time I like the guy. He's awesome. But this
I don't think I've met him. Have I met him, Chris?
Oh, you haven't? So he used to come to our Chris Hummel. He's
Chris Hummel. I haven't met him. No. I haven't met him, but I think he's one of the people
who got
Shanae started, right?
Yeah, he used to. So I'm not sure the story, but I think he mentored her, helping her push forward. And then once she became bigger and the marketing juggernaut that she is, he learned from her. But then they have like a symbiotic relationship. So he used to come to the weekly meetings. And so I swear to God, it was like my Pink Floyd concert experience, but that's another story. So basically, I was the only one that heard his challenge. So they were talking about consistency and all this kind of stuff. And then Shanae handed it off to Chris, and Chris basically said, I'm not going to do his voice. I can't do his voice. But usually he goes, I agree, Shanae. But this time he happened to go, so it's all about consistency. So what I would challenge any of you to do is just say for the next 90 days, post something every day, no matter how long, how short. Post a written post every day for 90 days on LinkedIn, and it will change your life.
He's right.
So apparently nobody else heard this challenge. So from that day forward, I had already been posting for probably 45 or so days in a row. So that was my first 90-day challenge. And then in the middle of the 90 days, people commented both in Growth Academy and out. They said, gosh, you're really write well. Have you ever thought of making money? I go, well, I have a novel, and it sold one copy and got rejected by 100 people. But yes, I've thought about it. And so that started me on the track I'm on now. Amazing. And then since then, I believe I did 390 days in a row of written or video posts on LinkedIn, which ended about 2 weeks ago. And now I've kind of slacked off and I've only done like 5 days a week since then.
390 days of nonstop posting.
Correct. And at the end, it was like 2 or 3 posts a day.
Mark.
And with video and stuff. But it got me nothing. So the only thing I got from it was finding myself. So that's a good thing. But as far as monetizing and having a business, it isn't.
Forget all that. Look at the discipline that you do. What I've noticed, because Robert Berry is a good friend of ours. So we used to talk, and Robert Berry, we both hit 9,000 followers just a few days ago, and Robert is just jumping forward so quickly. And we talk about these things all the time, and he posts around 4 or 5 times a day. There's a video, then there's a text, then there's an infographic, then he has 2 podcasts, and Carl Sean Watkins is doing this, and because I'm traveling, so I slack off too. but I try to bring the numbers back up. So I enjoy doing polls, and I write brief text, or I share a photograph. I shared a picture of me and my mum when I was, I think, a year old, and it got like 500 likes within a day. And then I did a video. I think maybe you saw it or maybe you didn't. On somebody called me brown, and I didn't like it, and I did a whole video about it. I was holding a shoe, and I was saying, I'm not brown. This shoe is brown. That did so well. I got, I think, 20,000 views in like less than a week. 20,000 views and 600 likes and something, and it was doing so well. And Shanae was so happy because Shanae is our champion. She's like our mum, isn't she? Our LinkedIn mum. She's so happy. She's like, look, it's these kind of posts, the emotional ones, that always do well, and just post more.
Oh, your sound went out.
Oh,
now it's back. That was weird.
Because I'm British, I would always feel if I post more than once, people are just going to be annoyed. Oh, another one of Ali's posts. But that doesn't happen. They just end up responding to you more and more if you post out more. So I'm so impressed that you did 300. That's almost 400 days of nonstop posting. Yeah. That's over a year.
That's where my book came from. So if you, my point was, if you're getting it back to you, which is what I didn't intend to take focus off you. If you've been keeping a diary for 17 years, we could go through that diary and just pull from that. Because originally, my book's called The 90-Day Challenge, How I Found My Voice Through 24/7 Social Media Driven World.
Wow.
And so the way it started, you'll see why it's taken me so long. I thought it was going to be published already. So I sent it to the editor, I think end of May. So they took a month, they did it. And then, so it was split into 3 parts. It was the posts, raw, unedited, just my 90 days of posts from the 90-Day Challenge, my journal or diary, if you will, of my experience of that. And then as a tertiary kind of throw off, because that's the way my brain works, I came up with a model, like a thought model, which is based on an acronym of how you kill an old habit you don't want, create a new habit, and achieve a goal. It's called Relate. And that was just kind of a throw off, and it maybe took 20 pages of so it's a 140-page book.
Yeah.
Probably come out 200 now that I'm rewriting it, but it was maybe 10 pages. So they came back and they go, we really like your writing. Leave the posts alone. Journal's good. But this model thing, we think you should rewrite the book and focus on the model, make it a self-help. It's all about the relate. You keep the journal, you keep the posts, but those are secondary and tertiary, and you make this number 1. Well, that's flip-flopping the way it was. So that's why it's taking something to rewrite. Anyway. But what I'm saying is
the process, isn't it? That's great.
You can use your diary, and that could be the start. And then write a diary about that diary, like your thoughts, because you're really good at that. That's one of the things I like about you. Is just, no matter what topic it is, you'll take it, you'll think about it, and then you'll just tweak it, just tweak. And here's what we think about this. Yeah, so you could do that with your diary. You start off like
that's not a bad idea, to be honest.
10 favorite entries, and then
I think what I could talk about is the last 5 years, because as you know, we talked about this before, my life changed drastically in the last 5 years when the coup happened in Turkey, and I left the country after staying there for 8 years. And since then, it's just been here and there, and then Oxford, and then McGill in Canada, and so many things happened. So if I could...
Well, that's why it surprised me to hear your parents were in UK 20 years. I thought they were in Turkey.
Yeah, no, they've been here. I went there because I liked the country, and I wanted to just work there and stay there. I just enjoyed it.
The food.
Yeah, the food. I mean, we went to a Turkish restaurant.
There's this great Turkish restaurant in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I like Greek food and Turkish food. And as you know, there's a lot of common. So I would go in and call it the Greek name. And the owner was hilarious. He'd like almost beat me up. Mark, it is not Domus. It is not Spanakopita. It is not whatever I'm like, okay. I like your version better.
Yeah. They have that history.
Anyways, back to Turkey. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the food's great. I was at a Turkish restaurant just 2 days ago, and we were like, oh, love this food. Some of the food is so good. So yeah, no, I was there. My parents were here, and then the coup happened, so I came back. But yeah, it was harrowing, and maybe I can start writing from there, because that's whenever I've spoken at so many places now, because of this LinkedIn thing, and this education thing, and they all start with, how did this all happen? And I was like, well, it was 5 years ago. I had a steady life, and then this happened, and now I have a new life.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the United States because of pogroms in Russia and Holocaust in Germany, but I mean that was a long time ago. But
Yeah.
I think forgot how that works, but I guess I'm third generation. I think that's right. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Is it who came here? Are they first generation? Is that how that works? Or is it the person they pop out after they come here? That's the first generation.
No, I think the person who comes is the first generation immigrant. Then the person who's born there is the second generation, and the third generation is the one after that.
Okay, I guess
you're absolutely right. It takes around 2-3 generations for us to forget. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like third on one side, fourth on the other. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
So we're coming to the what I call the shameless self-promotion, although you've kind of talked about it or whatever. Like, what's the very next thing that you want people to pay attention to, or next couple of things? I'll actually hold on. Go.
There's no couple of things. There's one thing, and I'll announce it briefly. Yep. Oh, I thought you wanted me to wait.
No, that was one thing.
Okay, I thought you were like, stop.
Like the City Slickers.
Yeah, no, it's one thing. And it's the second thing that you shared is the Lachine Institute. We are going to start, because all this consulting that I have been doing, I've been doing it myself, and I've been referring to other people, and it's been exhausting. I mean, it's been very rewarding, and the money's been pretty okay, but I simply can't do it and maintain a full-time research and teaching position and do other. No, I really can't, because I have other things to do as well. So I am tying it to my think tank, because my think tank is on education and diplomacy. And now we will start providing advice through that as well, but we will be doing it completely free. So I will not be charging anybody anything for this advice. And I have people in Oxford, people in Harvard, people in Stanford. Yes, thank you so much. And I haven't announced it, but this is going to be announced at the
should I take it off?
No, leave it. It's fine. It's completely fine. But I will right now. No, I'm building up to it because I'll do a post, I think on the 1st of September or something, and I'll say this is what's happening. So whatever you need to do, do it. And because I have friends in Oxford, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, so many, and who are more than happy to hop on a webinar or just come and say, hey, if you want to go to Yale, this is what you do. This is how you write it, and they're happy to do it for free, and will apply for funding or whatever from a governmental agency, like I did for my think tank. So yeah, that is the big thing that is happening from September till next September at least, and otherwise the teaching and research continues. But this is the big thing I'm going to be focusing on with all my energy. So yeah.
How can people tie to you? Just connect with you on LinkedIn or?
LinkedIn is the best option.
Here, I'll put pressure on you. When is the website coming out, sir?
In my head, I had thought January, but now I'm thinking maybe I should do it in October, because if I make this announcement in September, typically what happens, Mark, in the Northern Hemisphere, there's an application cycle. It starts in October and finishes in March, and everybody rushes and they apply very, very quickly, and they're all frenzied, and students are all worried, what do I do, what do I do? So those are the, what shall we say, high tide period, and then there's a low tide period, which is the summer. Because right now I'm only covering northwest of the world. But when I start covering Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and so forth, then I'll also look at in the summer times as well. But yeah, basically, maybe I should bring the website out sooner. In fact, that's not a very bad idea. Maybe in October. Let's say October, because so far everybody has reached to me on LinkedIn, and that's it. Not even Facebook. They reach out on LinkedIn, and that's it. And I thought maybe I can continue it, but why not have a website? So yeah, the website will be on my page, and otherwise reach to me directly, follow me or connect with me, and yeah, happy to help. And then I'll connect you to so many other people in so many other schools. I have friends who are currently doing the Juris Doctor at Yale. They're going to be big lawyers and judges. I have friends at Harvard, Kennedy School. I have friends at Berkeley. So, and also Oxford, Cambridge, obviously. and McGill. So yeah, that's the next thing that's coming. So the next whole year is going to be spent just on that.
Oh, I left out knows. The dude knows someone everywhere. All right, cool.
I do.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you so very, very much.
My pleasure.
I don't
Been
know
an
if you've
honor.
ever watched the show, but I always end with living your best life creates a better world for everyone. Ali Pasha can help you get to your best life. If it's in education, politics, think tank, look out for Lachine Institute coming at you. It's great. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you,
Thank the
sir.
audience. Thank Jeff for stopping by. There's some lurkers as always. And those watching on the restream, be sure to follow Ali Pasha. And we'll
Thank
see
you,
you next
sir.
week.
Thank
See
you.
y'all later. Hang on for a
Bye.
second.